Here's a contradiction worth sitting with. In 2026, AI wrote 41% of the code shipped on Earth. McKinsey says the best AI using software organizations are seeing 16 to 30% productivity gains and up to 45% gains in code quality. These are real numbers on real teams. Also happening in 2026, developers reject 70% of the suggestions AI gives them. The top frustration reported in the Stack Overflow developer survey is, and I quote, "almost right, but not quite." And here's a study from a research org called METR that found some developers actually took 19% longer when using AI tools because they spent the extra time cleaning up what the AI got wrong. It's almost like an enthusiastic junior who confidently keeps breaking things. Both stories are true. The gap between them is where the next 10 minutes lives. I'm going to give you 6 concrete ways to make your team more productive. Some of them with AI, some of them very much not. AI is a must-have. It's also not a magic wand. And the teams that figure out which is which are the teams pulling ahead. Here's what the research actually says. The average AI using engineering team is seeing tens of % in productivity gains. The top teams, 100 to 150%. Same tools, different practices. The difference isn't which AI vendor they picked. The difference is that the average team bought AI and the top teams restructured around it. AI handles the things AI is really good at: syntax, boilerplate, well-defined transformations. The top teams protected the things AI can't do at all, and that's focus, design judgment, learning, and taste. So, here are the 6 ways. 3 of them are about using AI better. The other 3 are about doing the things AI can't help with. And the order here matters. Way 1, automate the smart way. DevOps figured this out a decade ago. It's called CI/CD. This is infrastructure as code. So, automated testing. The boring plumbing that lets you stop manually doing the same thing for the 15th time. AI extends the pattern further. Linters, code review systems, security scanners, test generators. The principle is identical. Find the work that's repetitive, error-prone, and simply boring. Which, if you ask any engineer at a happy hour, they will list at length without prompting and automate it. But here's the trap. Automation is not about doing less work. It's about freeing up cycles for higher value work. If you automate everything boring and then immediately fill that time with 3 more stand-ups, 2 retros, and a quick sync, you've achieved nothing. Somehow the meetings keep multiplying while the actual work they're supposed to enable keeps getting squeezed out. Automate the boring. Then guard the time you get back like it's the last cup of coffee in the office. Way 2. Design first, experiment later. Developers love to jump straight into the code. There's a beautiful, intoxicating feeling of starting to type. The problem is, the second you start typing, you've made architectural decisions you didn't realize you were making. A rough flowchart, a schema sketch, even a numbered list in a markdown file. 5 minutes of design saves 3 hours of refactoring. And once a hack is in production, congratulations, it's now a load-bearing architectural decision that nobody will be allowed to refactor for the next 8 years. This is the part where AI can genuinely help. Ask the model to brainstorm 3 approaches. Before you write any code, ask it to critique your design. Ask it to find edge cases you didn't think of. What you should not do is ask it to make the decision for you. That's how you end up with code that works, but for reasons nobody on the team can explain in a code review, including the person who wrote it. Design first, experiment second, type third. Okay? Cool. On to the next one. Way 3, which is foster the flow. Flow state or deep work, whatever you call it, the thing where time disappears and you finally get to the bottom of that bug. Research says developers maintain flow states 73% longer with AI assistance. Research also says the average developer has flow efficiency of 15 to 25%, which means 75 to 85% of their day is spent not in flow. So the real productivity gain isn't the AI tool, it's protecting the conditions so that very flow state, for that flow to be there in the first place. So block your calendar, turn off Slack notifications, and if you're a team lead, respect when your engineers say, this morning, it's heads down time. 8 hours of fragmented half focus is not the same as 4 hours of real focus. If your manager wants to schedule a quick sync during your peak hours, they're not your friend. Way 4, which is lessen the cognitive load. Here we're talking about context switching, which is the silent killer of engineering productivity. Every unplanned meeting, every high security ping, every got a sec fragments mental capacity that takes 20 minutes to rebuild. And by 4 p.m., you've been making micro decisions for 9 hours and your brain is reaching for the easy answer, like a tired toddler reaching for snacks. Tactics that actually work here are rotating on call, so the same 3 people aren't getting paged every Tuesday at 3 a.m. Targeted meeting agendas, and the courage not to invite people who don't need to be there. You don't need 11 engineers in a meeting to decide a function name. You probably don't even need 3. And then templates for common tasks. Style guides that decide the boring questions once instead of in every code review. AI absolutely helps here. Agents that keep documentation in sync with the code base. Coding assistants like Claude Code, Cursor, GitHub Copilot, and IBM Bob that automatically apply your team's style. The goal here isn't to think harder, it's to spend your hardest thinking on the things that actually require it. Way 5, make room for growth. Here's a stat from PwC that should stop you in your tracks. Workers who feel supported to upskill are 73% more motivated than those who don't. Motivated engineers ship more, ship better, and stay longer. Growth practices that actually work are code reviews. And use them as teaching, not just gatekeeping. Then there's pair programming with real feedback, time and budget to attend maybe a conference or take a course. AI also does not replace mentoring. A junior engineer learning to debug with the help of an AI tool is being taught. The teams that get this right use AI to compress the boring parts of growth so the actual mentoring can focus on the parts that still need a human. And then there's way 6. Sharpen the tools of the trade. That's IDEs, languages, frameworks, version control, project management, the tool chain you live in. The principle here is friction. Multiply every poorly chosen tool by every engineer on your team every workday, 4 years, and you're paying an enormous tax on every line of code that ships. So you want to pick modern tools and well-supported tools. Avoid the technical debt of legacy stacks that nobody on your team can fix anymore. The IDE you choose, the AI coding assistant that integrates with it, these are developer experience decisions, not just feature decisions. Pick the one that gets out of your way. The one that fights you every time when you type is not your tool. it's your problem. One more thing, none of this matters if you can't measure it. The two foundational frameworks here are DORA, which gives you the quantitative metrics: cycle time, deployment frequency, change failure rate. Hard numbers, okay? Then we have SPACE. SPACE gives you the qualitative ones. That's satisfaction, performance, activity, collaboration, and flow. The 2026 synthesis everyone's converging on is called DX Core 4. And that essentially stands for speed, effectiveness, quality, and the impact. It rolls DORA and SPACE together and adds AI-specific dimensions like utilization, impact, and cost. But here's the line from the IBM Think article worth tattooing on the team room wall. Treat metrics not as goals, but as guides. Otherwise, developers work more on meeting them than delivering value. Goodhart's law lives exactly here. Every metric you turn into a goal will get gamed, by definition, by smart, motivated people reporting to someone else. So, measure to spot problems, not to drive performance reviews. AI wrote 41% of your code last year. It will write more this year, I promise you. But the teams pulling ahead are the ones doing 100 to 150% better than the median. And they didn't just adopt AI. They protected flow, they designed first, they lessened the cognitive load, and they invested in growth. They sharpened their tools. They measured what truly mattered. So AI is the lever here. The 6 ways are the fulcrum. Productivity isn't how fast you ship. It's whether the things you ship matter and whether the people shipping them are still around in a year to ship more.